Hello, I'm Harry Johnson. I'm bringing you another Trinity moment on Tuesday from Trinity United in Winnipeg. Reverend Elizabeth Brown is on vacation for the balance of this month, and in her stead, pastoral duties are being undertaken by Reverend Paul Campbell. The contact information for Paul is through the telephone system, and you'll also find it in the text of the Trinity moment that includes this video. I'm showing you the whole scope of the building today because my purpose is to bring you an interview with the chair of the property committee, Mr. Ed Tymofichuk. So we'll come and meet Ed next. Thank you. Good morning to our Trinity Moment audience. Today I have the pleasure of interviewing Mr. Ed Tymofichuk. Ed is leader of the Property Management Committee here at Trinity. Ed, we've had a heavy rain overnight. How have things fared in your area?
Good morning to you, Harry. Yes, on the drive in, I noticed that there was some water standing in some fields, so the rain was very welcome by everyone, I'm sure. And I would like to thank you for inviting Property Committee to be the focus of your next moment.
Well, thank you very much, and we're looking forward to hearing about this committee. Tell us about the Property Committee and its purpose.
Certainly. The Property Committee is relatively small. We are 4 volunteers. There's Ken Johnson, Bernie Weems, Bill Pelton, and myself, and I act as chair and secretary. And we have 2 staff, Elizabeth Brown, minister, and Irma Nadeau, staff associate, who, for all intents and purposes, do things and contribute and behave as if they were full-fledged members. And we really appreciate those 2 staff being on our committee. The purpose of the committee, the church is 42 years old. So the purpose is to ensure that the preservation and the maintenance of the facility and the grounds and the systems within the building operate safely and efficiently. I might point out that the church is not just a church for Sunday services and other services such as weddings and funerals and special services, but it serves the community at large. The church is active 7 days a week, and maybe slows down a little in July and August, but other groups, and I'll mention just a few, Good Shepherd, the nursery school, Healthy Start, are active users of the church throughout the year. So we want to make sure the systems in the church are operating so that these people can benefit from the spaces they use.
Well, this is a big deal operation, and it's wonderful that Trinity has a committee with the competence and vigor of your own. So thank you very much. I understand with the systems to maintain that there are repetitive annual and semi-annual maintenance activities. I wonder if you'd tell us how those are arranged.
There are, Harry. For example, spring cleanup in May sometime during normal times. We have outdoor cleanup and we have indoor cleanup, and we get other volunteers joining us in doing that. And again, we thank them and appreciate them coming to do that. We have contractors who come in the summer and late August to steam clean the carpets, re-wax the vinyl floors so they look nice and shiny for the users into the fall season and on into the winter. There are other activities done by contractors, such as snow clearing and grass cutting. And I want to go back to the systems that we have in the building, if I may, Harry. One of the most important ones is the security system for the building. We added 3 or 4 years ago a security camera system. We've got the elevator system. We've got 3 furnaces and air conditioning system. We've got lighting, computers, phones, and others. The central vac system has been quite problematic, so we have dealt with that, and I'll speak to that later. But all these systems need to be working for all our users.
And in addition to these somewhat routine maintenance activities, you've performed some major renovation projects in recent times, and I'd like you to tell us about them.
One project going back before my time on the committee and the Charity Committee was the addition of the atrium right here behind me, probably 13 years ago, and the elevator lift. That was done at that time under the auspices of the Property Committee of the day. More recently, 3.5 years ago, we were on the path to the recarpeting, new chairs for the sanctuary, and vacuum cleaners, when we realized through 3 independent contractors, roofing contractors, that our roof was not in very good shape, Harry. So we pivoted. We went back to the board and said, we have to reprioritize and do the roof first, and we'll take care of recarpeting and chairs and vacuum cleaners as number 2 down the road.
I understand that the roof is very important insofar as insurance is concerned too.
That's correct, Harry. We learned that if owners of buildings are negligent in their roofs and there is water seeping into the building causing damage to walls and floors and equipment, insurance companies take a pretty hard line on that. So we didn't want to get into that kind of situation.
And the funding for a project like that, how is that arranged?
Oh wow, that's a big chapter because without funding we couldn't do any of these projects. There are granting organizations, federal ones, provincial ones, such as Winnipeg Foundation, the Building Sustainable Communities Program of the provincial government, and the Sir Thomas Cropo Foundation.
Oh.
So we targeted all 3, and we were successful in, actually I missed one, New Horizons from the federal government. We were successful in 2 granting agencies. The provincial government was the biggest grantor, and Sir Thomas Cropo was right behind them.
Well, it must be a tribute to the function of Trinity in the community that granting agencies are willing to work with us in this way.
Yes, indeed, and we've had success with the Winnipeg Foundation in the past, so we're known to them. But it was a real heartwarming report to receive that the provincial government was supporting us, and our local MLA was behind us as well as our MP. So all of that contributed to success in getting the grants.
The most recent big project, which is partly in progress, has been recarpeting and new chairs. I wonder if you could tell us how the organization of that activity came about and what we're to look forward to on reopening.
Right. Well, just before Christmas, we got word on the funding that the project could now proceed. And so we put it into, you might say, high gear and tendered for suppliers for the carpeting. And we had to move quickly because the provincial government grant had a deadline of March 31st, fiscal year end. We must complete the project and shortly after submit paid receipts so that we can get final payments. So we were on a fast track, Harry. And we had support all along, including the board making a very wise decision to advance the annual meeting to allow us the ability to meet the timeline. And we did.
And in the funding aspect, what portion has the Trinity congregation contributed to the project?
Right, and they did. Our project budget was $50,000. $38,000 was received from the 2 granting agencies, and Trinity contributed approximately $8,400 to bring us into that range close to the $50,000. So that's very much appreciated from all parties.
Well, that's very good to hear about the board's participation in funding internally, as well as the administrative staff's efforts to find external funding.
Right. And I want to single out, without mentioning everybody, but I want to special mention to Irma Nadeau, who's been our architect and author on preparing the grant applications over the last 2 or 3 years. And of course that doesn't end there. Once the funding is available, there is accounting, there is reporting, and there is communication back and forth with those agencies. And so she did yeoman work in getting that done, so special thanks to her.
Well, that's great to hear. I'll be talking to Irma in this series in the future, and I'll bring up this point with her.
I want to say to complete the project, Harry, in about 2.5 weeks, there'll be a semi-truck that'll back up in the parking lot here with 162 new chairs. Half the chairs going into the sanctuary will have arms, and the other half will not. And the third type of chair will go downstairs. They're more of the conference type chair, but they're all of the same style and design and color. So we're looking forward to that. And these chairs will come packaged with cardboard boxes wrapped around them in plastic with nylon ties. So we need a few more volunteers to help us deload the truck, open up the packages, inspect the chairs, and place them in their appropriate final places in the building.
Well, let's issue a call for help in this interview series. That's a wonderful thing to look forward to.
It'll be a fun time, and who knows, we may even have some donuts and coffee outside on the parking lot.
Well, speaking of
Absolutely, absolutely. If there wasn't fun, it would not be the same. We have challenges which we rise to meet. We have diversity of activities and projects, and the most rewarding thing is the satisfaction by individuals and by the group as a whole of a job well done, big or small.
Well, that is a wonderful story to be able to tell the congregation. Many of us take this work for granted, not realizing how much effort and how much intellectual input there is to the projects.
Well, Harry, that's a good thing that the congregation takes it for granted, because that means that the systems are working in the background silently, safely, and efficiently.
Very good. Such a good measure of success. Now, with all of that history of success, what other things are on your radar?
Well, we've had some preliminary discussions, Harry, about redoing the restrooms on the main floor off the narthex and developing them into gender-neutral restrooms. Yeah. But we've got a ways to go. We need to get prices from contractors, we need to get funding and develop a schedule. So that's all I can say. It's a concept now, and hopefully we can get that working as well.
Well, Ed, I want to thank you very much for giving us time today and explaining in detail how complicated and yet how simplified your committee has been able to make this operational activity.
Well, thank you, Harry, and I would extend an invitation to others who might like to join this team and have some fun and some challenges, and we would welcome 1 or 2 more members to the committee. Thank you.